an addict named Sarah. I've been in Narcotics Anonymous for just a little over 10 years. I've had the same sponsor the entire time, and I am going to share my experience, strength, and hope with everybody out there through this pandemic. So I would like to start off as we all know each other's stories because we all live each other's stories. And unfortunately, that's not what I'm going to talk about because, really, we're all doing the same things and going through the same process, and we all ended up here together. So what I would like to talk about is my COVID meltdown, which kind of was this, explosion that happened because of all these circumstances. So I was living in this house with this woman who was my roommate that was impossible to be around. Every time I would come home, she would yell at me and chase me up the stairs and tell me that I was trying to kill her cats, which I would never do anything like that. So I was displaced from my house for about a month. Thank God for my sponsor, obviously, because she was always there to help me through and help me land somewhere safe. Then there was a breakup. And we all know that breakups and death are two of the hardest things to go through when you're in recovery, or even if you're not in recovery. And then there was a move, so then I had to move, so there's all this anxiety built up about where I'm gonna land, all these new things, what's gonna happen, and the process of moving is not the same as back in the 90s where you could just call somebody up and move into a place. It's 2020 now. Everybody's looking at the same apartments. I live in Hamilton. It was scary because some of the places were these tiny little dungeons and I could not live there. So eventually I finally moved. So I'm settled into my new place. My sponsor literally said you can have a meltdown as soon as you move. But that's not what happened. What happened was I went to work the next day and I sneezed, and my boss, whom I adore, started panicking, and I was like, what's happening? Because I was not paying attention to what was happening in the world because I was so caught up with all the things happening inside of me. And he's like, if you're sick, you need to go home, Sarah, you need to go home. I'm like, I'm not sick, I just sneezed. And that's what started the week of the beginning of the pandemic. So every day something different would happen. We would find out that, we were gonna bring in or try to, I'm not even sure, we were worried that if we brought in more clients, then we would get COVID. We didn't know if we were gonna close down. We needed to start ordering all this food. So I'm the executive chef at Hope Play Center. So my responsibility during the pandemic is you need to keep everybody alive by feeding them. No pressure. So my brain was just completely out of whack. And I was, I really had no idea what to do. I was crying all the time. I couldn't sleep. I kept going into work just trying to make it happen, and all these things kept going wrong. Every single day it was you try to move a little bit further and people were being pushed back. And the clients in our care were freaking out, and they were turning on us because they didn't know what else to do. And normally I can handle that. No problem. You're freaking out? Have a cookie. Let me give you a hug if that makes you feel better. But that wasn't the case. I didn't have time to make cookies. I didn't have time to give people hugs. And I was asking the clients, please, you have to try to just be a little bit nicer to me because I'm going through the same thing as you guys. I don't get to see my family. I don't get to just go and do whatever I want either. I'm here to take care of you guys. And it wasn't helping. And all of a sudden, there was one last comment on that Friday of that week of the pandemic, and my brain literally exploded. And I'm a person that is very, people know where I am at all times. I tell people what I'm gonna do or if I'm not gonna do anything, and I just totally blanked out. I went home sobbing the entire way home, called my sponsor, and I was sitting on my mattress on the floor, because remember I just moved, with the blankets up towards my face, and I was staring at the wall being the only thing that I can think about that would make this better is if I could use right now. And it was terrifying because the urge was so desperate that Like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get through it. I had no idea what was happening in the universe. I didn't know about work. I didn't know if I could go back. I felt like a failure to my people because, like, they need me to be there with them to, like, help food services along. So I emailed my boss and I told him, like, I need to take a week off. Like, I can't do this right now. And I went over to my sponsor's house the next day, and she's like, have you ever thought about getting your meds reassessed? And I'm like, no, but I totally get it. Like, the ability to be stable was like not, it was impossible. I couldn't stabilize myself. So I made an appointment with my doctor, and on the Monday I went to see her, and I explained to her, like, I can't sleep, the anxiety is like so crippling, I can't convince myself that everything's going to be okay. Like, my brain just took over. So she decided to, like, up my medication, and then I would stay home for a week. And it took about, like, 7 days in order to, like, feel myself again, which is super amazing. I actually learned to ask for help while I was at work. I needed help before. And that was kind of the process of how I was able to start stabilizing my mental health. So I was at home for that week, and the women in recovery are the ones that, like, held me up. I have Fluffy, who called me every single day to make sure that I wasn't going even crazier. I had Robin, who is kind of going through the same experience as me, and I've known her for like 8 years, and she was contacting me. Of course, I have my fabulous sponsor. Of course, if you don't have the most fabulous sponsor, then you certainly have the wrong sponsor. So make sure you get the good sponsor. My sponsor was there in this, like, really real moment of our relationship, because our relationship was kind of like being pulled in different directions, and we weren't even certain if we were gonna, like, how we were gonna get through this. But our relationship is so real that even though we want to, like, maybe hold each other underwater for a few minutes, that we still are there for each other no matter what. No matter what we do, no matter what happens. That's my person. And she was there for me. So I was able to return to work, which I discovered during that period of time that, like, I needed to go to work. Like, I had this epiphany, like, oh my God, I'm so lucky that during this pandemic, I get to go to work. I get to get up and make a difference. So I made this menu called the COVID meltdown menu, because there's going to be some meltdowns, and the COVID is definitely the icing on the cake. It's a very heavy icing, so the cake gets, like, really compressed. And then we started bringing in clients, and I started feeling normal after the clients started coming in, because nothing was normal until then. So as I reflected on, like, what happened to my mental health, because that is super important, was that, like, I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating properly. I didn't want to walk my dog. I wasn't, like, leaving the house, or I was going directly to work and, like, directly back to bed. So I decided that during that period of time where I was at home on my own, that I would get up, make a coffee, walk my dog. I would make breakfast. I would make an effort to contact one of my fabulous Narcotics Anonymous women. I would answer my phone. I started to become accountable again. You know, my sponsor and I healed the bridge that was building between us. Of course, that always feels like super amazing. So I've had the experience of being back at the treatment center with, like, a whole brand new cycle of clients, and they don't, funny enough, they don't want to leave treatment, which is super funny, but they want to stay because they feel safe with us. And I'm super grateful for that, because we do all, like, our screenings, and we talk to each other, and, you know, we make sure that we're safe first and foremost, so that we can continue to bring in our clients, which of course is the most important thing, because, you know, as any good addict knows, an addict needs another addict to help them out. And that's what we're doing here at Hope Play Centers, is we're the ability to be able to help each other out. I think that might be it, but I'm not sure. I guess I could tell you that one of the reasons why I didn't completely submerge myself into that dark space is because, like, I have all these amazing women in recovery, my sponsor and our amazing sponsorship family. I work with some of these fabulous women as well. I've worked the steps. I've been a sponsor, have a sponsor. We have a home group that we tried to keep open during the COVID, but then we got closed, so now we do a Zoom meeting. So there's that. I'm taking care of myself now. I'm able to take care of my animals. When it's too overwhelming at work, I can tell somebody because everybody else is going through the same situation. Nobody was really sleeping right away because everyone was so anxious and so nervous. And the more that I shared my story about how I wasn't able to like pull it together during a crisis, then other people were like, oh my God, I felt like the same way. Oh, I'm so glad that I can talk to you. I'm so glad that you're back at work. Like, I'm back at work too. So anyways, I'm very excited to see you guys and to meet you guys. If you're eating anything on the treatment center, it's my COVID meltdown menu that will be feeding and nurturing you guys. Feel free to come and say hi to me. I always got a little cookie stashed in my pocket. And I hope this helps somebody, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.